In the next 24 videos, I'm sharing how I'm taking my cute little open source side project and turning it into an actual profitable business in 2025. So before I talk about the chaos behind me, let's talk about the only thing that really matters, the outputs, the metrics. So here's what happened in the last 2 weeks: YouTube, email subscribers, and revenue. Revenue is 0 because I haven't added pricing. YouTube is not the goal, but since I'm not tracking conversions, this is like a overview in the top of funnel. And the email subscribers are chipping away. It'll be cool once we get to 1,000, but people just gradually trickle in from some of my older videos and posts. So that's the only change there. I haven't done specific marketing. This quarter, as you can see from the roadmap, is all about getting it good enough. And that just means if me or Muhammad, the main contributor, have Google Calendar and my calendar open side by side, and we're doing one of the things that my calendar currently supports, which is not everything Google does, but if it's doing one of the things that you could do in either of them that you would prefer as the user to use Compass, that's what we're focused on. It's very humble, it's very simple, and it's all about just making it better. So in the last 14 days, we had 10 separate PRs merged. Most of those were for bug fixes, but we did add 2 features. One was when you go to the calendar after being away for a while and your Google Access token expires, which means you can't change Google events through my calendar, it'll automatically kick you out so you can re-log in and be all good. If you didn't do that, or if you tried that before this recent change, you would make all your changes and then hit save in my app, and then it would tell you, hey, we can't actually save it, you gotta start over. So this will save some annoyances. The other thing that was interesting was overlapping events. I'm gonna jump behind the computer and show you that here.
All right, feast your eyes over to the left here. We see some overlaps, and if I click on one and drag it, it takes up the full width, and then once I drop it, it'll adjust, and so will the other ones. So before it was all just like this. Like if I had 3 at the same time, it'd look like this, but now we got space. So that's great. The code itself is pretty interesting. I won't take credit for this. This was the main contributor, Muhammad, but let's summarize briefly what it does. And if you want to dig into it more, you can look at the code because it's open source. We're making a copy of all the events, then we're sorting them based on the times first, and then we got to find out which ones are overlapping. We do that, and I'll talk about that a little more, but after we find the overlaps, then we adjust the width based on how many overlaps there are. So this is how we get the equal width for each overlap. This is the part we could improve further in the future. And then if they're still the same, we don't know the order yet, we're falling back to ordering based on the title. So the cool part is right here, this find overlaps, because we got a real life use case for recursion and sets. I love a good set, especially in only if it's actually useful. And I think this is one of those times. So this is how we're looping through each event and comparing that to all the other events to find out if it's overlapping. What's the time complexity here? I forget. If you remember how this works, let me know in the comments so I don't have to look it up and I can look smart in the future. There we go. Thanks.
So it's been around 84 days in a row that I've been working on this for at least 2 hours a day. So let me show you. So every check here is 2 hours a day that I worked on it. This is October. This is November. This is December. Okay, so we're on a solid streak, and then all of January. We're grinding. I'm rolling now, and that's after 2 moves, a chipped tooth, and a couple other random issues. I'm sticking with it. So I tallied up my stats from last year. Last year is all about consistency. I didn't really care so much about what it was as much as I do this year and making this app profitable. It was more about just showing myself that I could be consistent. A select few things. 1 was health, 2 was stable income. That was the main thing. Okay. And YouTube was kind of part of that. Like I wanted to constantly make videos, but I didn't really care what it was about as long as I was making something. So check this out, the full things at the link below. But I thought it was interesting that I published 6 hours of YouTube last year as like a secondary, tertiary goal. And as you can see from these numbers with the lifts, like those are big jumps, and a lot of them came from like beginner gains, but still I was super surprised by how much better I got just by showing up, not drinking, not partying, not staying up late, not doing destructive stuff, just showing up almost every day and doing the work. That gave me so much confidence where I feel like this year I don't have a lot of worry about whether I can show up and do what's necessary to hit this goal of making a profitable business in 2025. So that's huge. That year, last year, grinding every single day, set the stage for what's gonna come this year. So that's cool. That's pretty cool. That's all I wanna say. As I explained in that blog post, I like creating a theme for a year. A theme is a motto, something that I can just repeat in my head to help me make decisions about what's worth doing or not worth doing. I try to keep it as short as possible too, so it's easy to remember. So last year was all about consistency and showing up and blah, blah, blah. So the theme was stay consistent. So constantly in my head, I was just saying, stay consistent, stay consistent, stay consistent. This year, the theme is just ship. Just ship. It could just be ship, but I like the just in there to hone in on the focus, the priority. Just do it! It's not about anything other than shipping. So, some reflections on that. I think you can only be really good at 2 things, maybe 3, if you're already really good at one of those other things in the past and you're kind of just maintaining your goodness. Like, really good father, a really good employee, a really good app developer, a really good figure skater, whatever. I don't know if there's enough hours in the day to sleep, do your daily maintenance, cleaning, pay bills, drive, fill up gas, shop, eat, go to the bathroom, do all those things, and do the one thing that you're really good at, and then do the second thing that you're really good at. Like, that's a full day. To do 3 of those, I don't know if you could do it. So I had to pick this year, what do I want to be really, really good at? And if my goal above all else is to make that business profitable, I have to ship. Like, it just needs a lot more, not necessarily features, but it needs to do more better. And it needs code, and code needs to go out there and people need to use it, which requires me to just ship. I don't have to write every line of it, but I have to make it happen in some way. I don't need to go around to networking events. I don't need to go work on the business card. I don't need to update the LLC name to make it sexy or whatever. I just need to ship. The other thing I'm focusing on is health. That served me really well last year, so I'm keeping with it this year. Practically, what that means, those are kind of like the goals or the lofty theory about it, but for someone who's making an app and for someone whose goal is to just ship, you know how important it is to have prolonged focus time. That's time when you can get all the context of the problem you're working on, like in your brain, and think about it, then actually solve it, and then fix the bug that happens from your first solution, and then write some tests, and then maybe document it in a PR, and then test it in your staging environment, and then update the PR, and then deploy it. Like, that all takes a good chunk of time. And so it's not the kind of work where, except for those last couple of things, you can split it up into 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. In the same way that like a middle manager or a salesperson maybe could work intensely for 5 minutes on an email or a call and then like take a break and then come back. It's just different. You need that prolonged focus. So I've been coming to terms with that truth and adjusting accordingly so that I can have that. And what that looks like is I get that focus in at least those 2 or 3 hours in the morning. That's religion. That happens every single day. And then I do my workout usually in the morning if I have time, and then I do my day job, and I do really well at my day job. I'm not trying to coast there. I'm not trying to sneak off and do my own work. I have a lot of opinions on why that's the right move, but just say I'm locked in for that other 8 hours a day at my day job. And then I do the life maintenance stuff, and then there's a small chunk where I have every other thing that I would like to do where I try to fit it in. And I'm going to show you here. This is an app, not mine, an app that I use to kind of manage all of this. So the gray is my calendar, and then when I hit go on this little timer, it counts up, and then it adds up to the green. So this is a representation of what I plan to do versus what actually got done. And I try to keep those aligned as best I can. Everything always changes, but that's the idea there, where I focus for an hour at least. It's like an hour on, 15 minutes off. And in those 15-minute breaks, I'll go to the bathroom, I'll get some food, I'll relax and stretch, and then I do that again until I kind of reach a point where I can't focus much anymore. Like an ideal day where I just have everything open, I could probably go 4 to 5 hours on that kind of a pattern before my brain fries. But day to day with those other things, I only get two or three of those a day where I can really lock in. And I'm talking about all this because, as you can see, I'm in a new spot and it's a mess. It's a mess. Old me would have moved in here and said, okay, I'm gonna take a moving day. I will stop everything and spend the whole day cleaning up this stuff, organizing it, making it look good. And new me knows that I don't have time for that based on my priorities. Instead, it's gonna look like a mess and I'm gonna gradually, slowly clean it up as I go. So I wanna document just how bad this is. Let's just see. So this was yesterday. I moved in yesterday, but there's boxes everywhere. The internet cable is from one outlet over here, but that top one doesn't have electricity, so I had to connect it to this one over here. So it's a long ass cord. These are a mess. What else is wrong? I forgot stuff in here from the freezer, so I lost some food there. Had to throw it out because I left it overnight. Mess. The bed is on the floor because I didn't set up the bed frame because I didn't want to go to the hardware store to pick up all the nails I would need. This clothes everywhere. Boxes, clothes everywhere. I don't have a shower curtain. It's a mess. It's just a mess. That's the main point I'm trying to get at. But I got the work done. I got the work done yesterday. I moved for like 8 or 10 hours yesterday, maybe more, and I got my work done. I kept the streak going. This is working for me, man. It's working for me. 2 years ago, when I was staying at my new place, my old place, I spent a good 2 months just getting it locked in, making everything feel good. I would sketch it out, I would organize, I would go on Facebook Marketplace, I would try to negotiate stuff, I would return stuff, I'd go to Target, I'd buy 3 sets of one thing and try out one and then return the other. 2 months I spent on that, and that was my goal then, and that was the right thing to do. It felt really good. It was like a great creative outlet. But now that I'm here, I'm in a new spot, I have the opportunity to do that again. I just know that I can't do everything that I would like to do, and I'm just gonna do my best and focus on just shipping, and everything else will fall into place when it will fall into place, you know?